Hey guys, Derek here. We are back reacting to another episode of Midnight Mass. This is episode 2. It is called Book 2, Psalms. Now, where did we leave off last time with Midnight Mass? So last time was kind of just like a placeholder setting up episode, getting to know everybody, kind of getting to know some of the history of the island and just, you know, the background stories of what's going on with everyone. And then there was a big storm, and the next day, all these dead cats washed up on the beach. So, going into this episode, I have some reservations about, like, Beverly. She seems to suck a lot. I'm not quite sure about the new pastor yet. He gives me sketchy vibes. I don't know why quite yet, but big fan of the main character, Riley, I believe is his name, and what's her face that's played by Katie Seagal. She's cool. The sheriff that's played by Rahul, like him so far, and I'm excited to see where the series goes. I assume we're gonna delve more into the car accident and what happened to Riley and how he kind of like lost his faith and things like that. And possibly, you know, delve more into, you know, the sheriff and his faith and his son and things like that. So I'm excited to jump into it. Before we do that though, please consider leaving a like on the video if you like my reaction. Subscribe if you really enjoy my reaction and want to see more. And then if full-length reactions are something you're interested in, consider supporting me on Patreon. Link is in the description. I post all my full uncut reactions in watch-along format, so you just sync up your own copy of the show and you can watch along with me. There you can become a super supporter and get featured in every single one of my videos. But other than that, let's jump into episode 2 of Midnight Mass. That weird little doll cat thing. Are they gonna have someone like pick up all these cats? Like, whose job is that gonna be?
Mr. Mayor, Sheriff says to keep off the shoreline unless you've got gloves.
What's he saying? What happened?
Give me your see these ladies off the
He just takes that from him?
You know, I remember 2002, whole flock of starlings. It was starlings. Hundreds of them just fell out of the sky, covered the beach, the whole town square too. Never did get a satisfying answer.
That sounds biblical.
Never did find out. Whole pot of dolphins once too.
None of these people want to listen to the sheriff. Yo, get off the beach.
And now here we are. Wowzers. Let it be.
Wowzers.
She said some kind of disease or infection. Oh, whoa, whoa. Nah, no oil.
That's all he's looking for is oil. That's all he cares about.
There's no blood anywhere. And the cats are on the beach. So I think it happened before they got in the water or in the water, maybe.
Is this just this is a long one shot, kinda.
No, we've had strange things happen before. It's public safety, really. And they'll thank you for it, right? Their mayor isn't willing to gamble with public health.
You'd be surprised how citizens of places like this might feel about their mayor advocating for public health. With the virus, you know what I'm talking about.
You know, we really would love to see you two in mass one of these days. Not as a convert, mind you. No. You've got your faith, and well, God bless. Nothing but respect.
Bruh,
you know, I think it would pay dividends
why do you want him to come
maybe
to Catholic Mass if he's Muslim?
You don't have to sign up for membership or anything. Just show the people that you're here. Part of the whole. You know what I'm saying, right, Sheriff?
Yeah, you're trying to push your religion on him. Like, come on, man. Again, not a viable tactic for winning hearts to Christ.
How you doing, Riley? How's it treating you being back? Prayed for you every week. We certainly did. Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Thanks. Fine.
I do not believe him. He did not pray for him even once.
Look, stay away from the cats, all right? I don't want you catching toxocatmosis or whatever.
Don't tell me what to do.
It's like Drake and Josh. Have a great day. Don't tell me what to do. You guys remember that episode when Josh gets the game sphere? It's a classic. So far they've focused twice on that water churning up. Wonder if there's something to that.
He broke the bread, gave it to his disciples, and said,
Interesting cutting back and forth here.
Where were you before this? Everyone asks, you know. Lots of gossips in our parish. Like lots.
I'd be happy to tell them. Well, that's the thing about where we've been. It's important, sure, but it's not as important as where we're going.
Okay, so you're not going to tell her, though?
The place it was before where I am now. It's kind of like you.
Okay, but are you going to give her a straight answer?
I've lived here my whole life.
Sure, but there was a before for you, too. I'm just pointing you here, and you know what that thing is?
What's that puppy? What, they got history? What's up with them?
You all right?
He the one that paralyzed her?
Oh, I'm fine. It's fine.
Maybe an accident? Maybe he was drunk? I don't know. I don't want to assume things, but they got some sort of history. What do you need that for?
Rats. Had a big problem after the spill. This works like a charm. But with what happened with those cats? If there are some wild animals out there responsible, some kind of predator...
She's gonna try and use that to kill that dog.
To those poor kittens?
I'm calling it. She wants to kill the dog. She's super gonna try and kill the drunk man's dog. Bro, you're not even gonna say hi?
Really walking by without saying hi?
Yeah, she called you out.
Didn't want to bother you.
How was your day?
Bro, she wants to talk to you. They're kind of cute.
Just get going. I don't want to keep my parents waiting.
Some things never change.
Ooh.
Don't want to upset the parents.
Good night, Aaron.
You too.
I think she's a little bitter that they're not together. Maybe. I don't know. Probably reading into things too much. Doesn't need her glasses anymore. She's like Spider-Man. He's just sad. He's just a sad. His whole life. He made a mistake and his whole life is ruined because of it. You know, granted, it was a bad mistake. Don't get me wrong. He's just sad. He always does this camera turning thing. Is the spooky girl gonna show up? Yep, okay, spooky. I saw the colors changing. Does he see this girl every night? What does this mean? C10. Ooh, the giant demon bird thing. Gonna kill something. What? That was one of the abandoned houses, right? Does this thing live in an abandoned house?
Even out of blackness, love rises again. Even out of sin. And this island, it will rise again. Even out of disaster.
Who did he seek out? Who did he turn to build his church?
Those who were lost.
His apostles, Jesus' first disciples. They were fishermen. One of his first miracles, right? The nets are empty, fishermen desperate.
Okay, so he's really getting into this.
In the absence of light and hope, we sin. Restore us.
He's really passionate. I'm on board with him, but like I can just tell there's another shoe's gonna drop and something's gonna go down. I'm just anxious about it.
Ryan, remember you were dust. And to dust you shall.
Oh, I thought he was just gonna leave it at that. Remember, you are dust. It's always interesting seeing like a church service in a show, because oftentimes it's portrayed to be like weird. This one, he got a little passionate and, you know, a little heated, but in general is fairly chill.
Are you glad you came?
Oh yeah, my kind of second date.
Ooh,
Now, I've been curious about this
interesting.
ever since I saw here.
Ah, very interesting. So they're together,
I think that time has passed.
and I wonder how that'll play with the rest of the island.
They have had the same old Monsignor here since before I was born. And he would stare at me just like that all the time, even back when I was a kid.
Maybe he's the same guy. He's just been reincarnated into a younger version of himself. That'd be crazy. It's actually Monsignor Pruitt, just a young guy.
How's Monsignor Pruitt doing?
He's
Is he
dead.
coming back anytime soon? This is one of his favorites too. Crock pot log. I think he coined that.
Yeah, he's doing well. He's better.
This guy is Pruitt, isn't he? I'm calling it.
That man isn't going anywhere, not anytime soon.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I think
Everything has its season.
Well,
the pastor is Monsignor Pruitt, and he's also the creepy bird demon, and he has to kill things to
You smoked me up.
remain young.
Your mother mentioned to me that you have to
And
travel the mainland.
once he runs out of cats, he's going to move on to people.
Get that stamp for
Calling it.
parole board.
One full-blown alcoholic already who's responsible for the drunken hunting accident that paralyzed
I knew it.
Lisa, I'm told. Yeah, and he still won't put down the bottle. But someone like you, Riley, someone who already has, could set quite the example. Can you imagine that, the good you could do? Just by skipping a trip to the mainland?
Sorry, do you mind if I interrupt?
That'd be a pretty,
Not at all, Miss Green.
that'd be a good thing. Maybe the reason that dude can't put the bottle down is because he feels super guilty about paralyzing that girl. Hot dog for you, puppy. Who gave you that hot dog? Did Bev give you that hot dog? Are you about to die?
I keep telling myself it's only temporary, but
You're nothing like her. I remember that much. You're gonna be
fine.
great.
Wow, that's so cute. Yo. Bev, poison that dog. Bev, you bitch. Oh my god, I hate her. Bev poisoned that dog. It was her. You know it's her because she was getting the rat poison from the room. She coated that hot dog. I hate her.
He was poisoned. And that's what happened.
She knows.
All right, everybody, come on. Let's go. Come on. Let's go, everybody. You heard the sheriff. Let's go.
Yo, that was Bev and everybody knows it. Aaron knows it. I know it. Yo, call her out.
Oh, look, Dad, you're back. No. It's okay. I'm good. Good.
Okay. So first his mom doesn't need glasses anymore. Now his dad, his back doesn't hurt. What's going on?
Following up on our little island mystery.
The dog.
We confirmed it. It was poison.
Oh, that's tragic.
Yeah, poison got from here.
If you had wanted to grab a gallon, who'd have known it?
She's trying to open up the possibility to anyone. It's so obvious that she's...
You have a good day, Bev.
Even to him, it's obvious that she's the one that did it.
She killed half the island with that fucking settlement. What's one more dog on the pile?
What settlement?
I've known that woman.
You're not wrong, Joe.
Thank you.
Well, I hear Bev Keane was encouraging people to take the settlements from the oil companies almost dire. It seemed like a lot of money, I guess, until you went up against the companies.
Maybe give a little back to God while you're at it.
They do. Take the money, they turn around and hand some of it right to the church, which, with Pruitt, being sick as he was, means they really were giving it to her.
Okay, so she took advantage of the island.
I guess a little Catholic Church in a nutshell. All over the world.
True facts.
It's these small, starving villages with big, fancy churches. Getting bigger and fancier.
Alcohol isn't good or bad, not itself, but it's people.
Do you know any of us have this problem?
There's a saboteur inside of me. And I always thought we'd work it out. We'd learn to live with each other.
Oh, yeah, it didn't quite work. It's like the Hulk.
And then
Or
one
Jekyll
day I
and
woke up
Hyde.
and found out he killed someone. I killed someone.
So who's to blame there?
See, that's the part I cannot swear.
God doesn't
Because you're right,
quite always work on
so much
that
stuff.
micro level, but
So much, and then
I
there's
understand where he's coming from.
this higher power
Who could erase all that pain, just wave his hand and make it all go away, but doesn't? No.
No, thank you. The worst.
But nothing good came out of my drinking. Nothing good came out of me killing that poor girl. Nothing good came out of Joe Colley's drinking, and not a single good thing comes out of Lisa never being able to walk again.
Nothing good came out of a metric ton.
Look, there's nothing in the scripture or in the world for that matter that suggests God negates personal accountability. I believe God can take our work, even our awful works, and turn them into something else. I know he can find the good in them, find the love in them, whether we see it or not.
I agree.
That I know.
I very much see
Flynn.
both of their perspectives. So it's they're not pushing one side or the other. They're just they're presenting both arguments here. I like that. Is there a demon bird in your attic? Or is it Riley sneaking back in? Oh, you can see the eyes to the left. Oh, it moved. What's in the background? Always looking, trying to see something scary.
Sarah!
Oh, ease up there, Tonto.
Come quick, come.
It came right up to the window. Oh, Sarah, that face. That face. Oh, that face.
Is the demon bird pastor. Walking past that abandoned house where the bird flew in. Oh, that door just opened. Don't go in there. No. Don't do it. No. You sweet drug dealing boy. Don't do it.
Hello? Somebody there?
No. Pretend it was the wind and go away.
Hello? Somebody there?
No. Don't do it. No. Don't go in there, man. Please, no. Oh, God, you sweet drug dealing gentleman. You're a nice person. Don't go in there. It's just gonna copy you.
Who's that?
It's like in Doctor Who, the episode, what is it, Midnight? Eventually it's gonna start talking before you. It's got the same voice as you, man. Look at that thing. It's gonna kill you. Yep. Yep. They should have ended the episode like that.
The Lord is the strength of my life.
He's gonna
Of
call
whom
upon
shall I
God.
be afraid? That I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life.
He's been thinking about his conversation with Riley, and he's gonna use that big drug dealer that he just murdered the night before to make her walk. I still think he's the weird bird demon, but he's also the old Monsignor. Get on up there. Get that bread, girl. Yo, I'd be furious if this was happening in the moment. If this was happening in the moment, I would be pissed. I would be like, how dare you? But given the fact that it's like straight miracle stuff's about to happen.
Honey, what is wrong with you?
If this is a joke, Father, it's not funny.
Oh.
She knew she could do it. Hey, what's up? Everyone's like, what the just happened? She doesn't have those muscles developed yet, though. They've been atrophying for a while. Yo. I feel like if that's not enough to make you believe, if you're in that church in the moment and you're like previously not sure, bruh. Unless this girl was playing the long con, I'd be like, yep. Immediately. Like, I believe. Oh, that's how the end? God dang, man. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack in this episode. Like, so this thing was over an hour long, right? And we just there's so many little dynamics and microaggressions that happen throughout the episode that you're just like you notice things, and it's not always like huge things in the moment, but I feel like a lot of these things are going to build to more, and so I'm trying to keep an eye on everything. So we start off on the beach with all these cats, and the sheriff, he's trying to keep things under control and kind of, you know, generally keep people safe and keep people away, but there's like the small town like tendency where they just ignore it. They're like the advice of the person who may have the authority or directive or have some intelligence of what might be going on is like, hey man, maybe chill for a bit, and they're like, oh no, you know, I remember 2002. This like it's not the same. And he's straight up like, you know, oh maybe the mayor might want to think of the town's public health, and it's like, really, in the year of our Lord 2021, talking about, you know, a mayor of a small town, a rural small town, thinking of what's best for his community's public health. I would never. Of course that's not gonna happen, as evidenced by everything around us right now. Like, look, go to any small town anywhere and be like, hey man, follow these directives and the public health might be more chill, might be good. And they're gonna be like, oh no, I remember 2002, everybody got sick, it was fine. Like, no, shut up. Just listen to what these people tell you, man. We have some interesting cutting back and forth between the daily mass church service and Riley's AA meeting. And I think it sets up some groundwork to kind of parallel what happens later, right? So I think, I don't know, I've never been to an AA meeting. I've never had that issue in my life. So I don't know how deeply ingrained like faith or the church or whatever is into AA. Like, is it like a strict part of their thing, or I'm not sure, but I think in that moment it was kind of trying to set up the kind of the parallel of like what an AA meeting might feel like to him, where it's kind of like church, or like there's a connection there is the main thing I'm trying to suss out, I think. What else? Oh, we have Lisa, I believe, and the pastor walking through the street, just kind of talking, and she's like, where were you before this? And he doesn't give her a straight answer, which was sketchy in the moment. I don't trust this man yet. Like, he seems on the surface to be just a genuine stand-up dude, you know, caring for these people. You know, he's a man of faith, and he seems to not be like the type of man of faith that's like fire and brimstone, like you're all gonna burn unless you repent for your sins. Like, he seems to be a very open and understanding person in terms of like, one, like even discussing Riley later on, where he's like, you know, you don't believe, that's okay. Like, I'm not here to force you to believe. Even first episode, he's like, hey man, like, you're not close to God, that's all right. Like, I can work with that. That's fine. And he's talking to Lisa, and he doesn't give her a straight answer of where he was, which feeds into my theory. my theory that this dude, this young man, is the old man. I don't quite know how it would work yet. It's all a very complicated, connected thing, right? So like him being the old pastor while also being the bird demon, and his young self, and everybody getting healed / like miracles happening, I think is all connected. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But then they see Joe, I believe, in the street, and I was like, there's a connection there. He did something. He paralyzed her. I was like, I knew it. So he was just shooting to shoot or something at some, I don't know, you know, they didn't delve too deep into what happened there, but I guess he shot her and paralyzed her. And so at least the mayor and his wife and her aren't thrilled with him, which makes sense. I don't know if he apologized or if he was like, oh, it was a terrible accident, because what's-her-face, the doctor, seemed to kind of throw those words back at him later with the dog, when she was like, maybe it was a terrible accident. And he kind of looked at her like, really? Like, and the mayor kind of shuddered at those words. So maybe the whole town just kind of isn't thrilled with him. But what we know is freaking Bev. God, Beverly sucks. So Aaron runs into her into this like supply closet, and she's got this rat poison. And she's like, oh, I'm going to sprinkle this by my house to keep rats away or whatever. But immediately, based off of like the first episode where she's like, that dog tried to bite me, it's like, you know, she's gonna try and kill this dog with this rat poison. And she does. Like, she's even like, she's so fake. Everything about her, she is the stereo, like, she is the exact image of a fake person. She's not, like, she doesn't live it out. She just, you know, she's image. It's all tradition. It's all, you know, her way or the highway. Like, she talks about Aaron's mom of like, oh, whatever, and she's clearly lying because Aaron's like, no, that's not how that goes. And it's like clear, like she's trying to shame her, and she's just like a greedy, like judgmental butthole who is also a dog murderer. And obviously the interaction doesn't go well with them. Yeah, obviously. The pastor then meets with the old lady to give her communion, and he gave her this kind of like weird longing look before it happened, and I didn't quite think anything of it in the moment, right? I noticed it, but I wasn't like, eh. But then later on, when she's like screaming about this thing staring at her in the window, I think it was the bird dog or the bird demon, and I think, since my theory is at the moment that he is the bird demon, I think he was like longingly looking at her in the window. And I'm not quite sure what that would mean. You know, maybe in the past, since I think he's also the old Monsignor, maybe in the past, the old Monsignor loved her or whatever, or was the dad or some scenario. I don't know. That theory is still formulating. It's a very loose theory at the moment, but not sure. Aaron and Riley have some cute moments. I like that they're kind of like rekindling things from where they left off when they were kids. Still not quite sure, you know, what that would mean. But they have this whole like, how was your day thing, which then he kind of calls upon when he's falling asleep with this like girl that he killed, where he's like, how was your day? Which makes me think that this isn't like a uncommon thing. Like he probably sees this girl every night before he goes to bed. And like it's a huge effect on his life. The bird demon flies into the abandoned house, which comes up later. We have a decently nice like Lent church service, which like you know, sometimes when you see church services or whatever in media, the pastor can either make the pastor like this stereotypical version of a pastor, or they'll get so passionate and heated that they'll say stuff and it's like it's not actual like theology, and it's like clearly like this is just a thing that the community believes or whatever. And he kind of played into that a little bit or whatever. Like it's not like a Southern church within media where it's like clear that they start saying stuff that it's just like, this is just what those people in that Southern community believe, and they're kind of trying to fit that into their faith, even though it's not actual faith. He kind of plays a little bit to their audience of like them being fishermen, but like all the things he's saying are not unbiblical, right? And he doesn't get to that point where he's like screaming. Like he gets to the point where he's like, you can tell he's getting slightly passionate about what he's talking about. Like he cares. But he doesn't go beyond that. And so that scene, I think, I was like, okay, so he cares, and seems genuine about what he's talking about, and it wasn't weird. So it was just a nice service. You know, he has some sort of connection with Riley, and I'm not quite sure what it is yet. But if he is the old Monsignor, he probably knows. He seems to know a lot about these people. And he says it's because he had conversations with the old Monsignor, but I think it's just stuff that he knows because he is him. Yeah, I don't know. We get this the potluck for the community. We learn the doctor is gay. That's an interesting note. I wonder how. And she mentioned she wants to get out of this town, right? Because obviously the town is mainly people that are like ingrained within the Catholic Church, and probably not probably not the most hospitable. At least she probably doesn't feel the love that they are preaching. And she mentions that the Monsignor looks at her like the old Monsignor used to do. I think that's when my theory fully clicked, when I was like, I think that's him. And I still do. And then he has a nice moment with Riley on the bench when he's like, hey man, could save you some trouble. And then where's the scene with the friggin' hot dog? Oh, before the hot dog scene, we have Aaron and Riley having more cute moments where he's kind of showing her that she's nothing like, she's nothing like her mom or whatever. Yeah, it's like a reddish flowery one. Okay, yep. So Beverly is the one that gave the dog the hot dog. She's the one that was getting the rat poison earlier. So I think it's clear to say, like, not even based on conjecture, but based on like physical evidence seen within the show, Beverly straight up killed this dog. And it sucks, man. Like, this dude's crying over his dog. This dog's like puking up like acid blood, and it's just a rough time all around, and it makes me just hate that character so much. And it's infuriating. I hate her guts. Like, even just beyond her being this fake judgmental, like using Faith as a prop type person, then she goes and kills a dog. Like, I don't like her at all. She is the exact opposite of what anyone who considers themselves to be a person of faith should strive to be, right? Like, she's the worst. We get some more miracle stuff on the boat with Riley's dad's back kind of being healed, like he doesn't have back problems anymore, so there's healings happening and miracles happening, and you're not quite sure. The sheriff knows Beverly killed this dog. Joe knows that Beverly killed the dog, and it's just like, I don't know. But then we get a really interesting scene with the AA meeting in the rec center, and we really get to see kind of some of Riley's heart about why he lost his faith and why what he feels about certain things. Like, he starts out talking about just Beverly, right? So with the giant oil spill, the oil companies were offering these people settlements. Like, obviously it's not as much as the money they lost in their wages, like from lost work, like they couldn't work because of the oil spill. And the oil company was like, here, take this lesser amount of money, but I guess probably still a decent chunk of money for these people. And Beverly, the assistant manager of the church, I'll say, is the term I'll use. She was essentially the acting head of the church and the church community here, because the Monsignor was so old and incompetent that he just like wasn't in a place to be trusted with that. She's convincing all these people to take this money, and in turn, like tithing, like if people are unfamiliar with the term tithing, so a tithe is the first 10% or whatever. It's just I think is it a Greek term, Hebrew term? But within the church, it is a practice of giving the first 10% of your paycheck towards the church, and trusting that it's an act of sacrifice, an act of obedience, an act of trust towards God and towards the church and all that. You're not necessarily expecting a direct blessing in return. Like, it's not a payment for a blessing. It's a gift, if that makes sense. You'll hear tons of preachers, like maybe like Joel Osteen or whatever, like the prosperity gospel type, where they're like, oh, if you give us $100, God will bless that and turn it into $1,000. That's not biblically. That's not what tithe is. It's not what it says it is. It's just you faithfully and dutifully giving the first 10% of what you have to God. And so I think that's somewhat what she was probably trying to do, right? But like Riley, I think I agree with him in the moment, believes that, you know, she kind of took advantage of that situation a little bit, where she wasn't just like, hey, like if you do accept the settlement, maybe consider tithing some of that, right? She went and was like pushing people to get it, and then pushing people to give some of that to the church, and given the fact that she is very much a use faith as a prop type person for her own personal gain and her feeling of superiority, it totally makes sense that she would not be honest with how that money was used, because it essentially all went to her, and used some of it probably to build this rec center, but she probably used a bunch more just for herself, and that sucks, and she's the worst. And so he starts off with that as a way to kind of lead into his distrust of the faith, right? And he talks about all these bad things that have happened, bad things that he's done, bad things that have happened to the community, to the world, whatever. And he brings up an argument lots of people bring up of you know, if like essentially if God is this loving God, like how can he allow these things to happen, and just kind of like sit back and let it happen? And that brings up a big theological debate of you know, how does God act within small actions? You know, how does, you know, where does free will come into this, right? Because if people want free will, or they want a God who intervenes and doesn't let bad things happen, like what is the line there? Like where do you draw that line, I guess? And you know, like how does that affect, you know, Adam and the fall and faith and, you know, being saved and going to heaven? Like how the way I think Riley, I understand where he's coming from, definitely, but I also think he's presenting a very one-dimensional argument in the moment, right? Like I think his argument is very emotional, which, and understandably so. Like there's emotional things that have happened, and to try and take the emotion out of those situations is not helpful all the time. And it's often a conversation that leads to pain and distrust towards the church, especially from people who aren't believers. Like I think the pastor handled it really well, though, where he responded and he's like, yeah, he's like, bad things happen, but he also says, you know, I believe, you know, he doesn't state it as a fact, right? Like he's not like, this is the way things are. He says, I personally believe that God can use these tragedies for something positive. And he seems to be in deep thought about that. And it's very interesting because, like, after this big conversation where they have these thoughts, we immediately cut to, you know, I don't know how far within the night it is. Maybe it's at the same time, or if it was at the same time, I feel like it would completely kind of, you know, destroy my bird demon pastor theory. But it could be a couple hours later because it seems to be at night. And she woke up the doctor, so I would assume this is later in the night. But we cut to the bird demon, who's like looking at Erin in the bathroom, maybe because she's pregnant and it wants her little baby. But then we cut to the drug dealer who gets eaten in this house by the bird demon. And, you know, going from the pastor being like, oh, I think God can use these tragedies for good. And then we see a tragedy happen. And then after that, we see something good happen. I don't know if I'm just like super wrong. But I think the pastor is the bird demon, and also he's also the old pastor. But he still like believes, and he thinks maybe he's doing these things for good. I don't know. It's very confusing. I'm not sure. But yeah, the drug dealer gets eaten by the bird demon, and then the next scene is church, where they're taking communion, and he gets this girl to stand up and walk, which is like it's a biblical thing of like getting the lame man to walk, and it's crazy. And everyone in the church at first was like, "Dude, is this a joke? This isn't a funny joke, man." In the moment, I feel like even the most devout person of faith like would react that way. I'm like, it's not uncommon to have people pray for healing for things, but I think if in the moment the pastor was like telling this crippled person to get up and go to it, it somewhat goes into the territory of like, if you ever seen those like things where they're like in a tent or something, and they're like, oh, the Spirit of God, come heal this person. And it's like clearly like an act, like they're playing the crowd. Like, he doesn't seem to be doing that here, but it's like, you know, that would be how I would almost see it in the moment. But then this girl gets up, like, and it's not a situation of like, this is a person they don't know, so like they could be skeptical. Like, this is a person that they know and trust, and who has been paralyzed for a while now. Like, not just like a week ago, like this was years ago that this girl got paralyzed, and they see her get up and walk, and it's crazy. I feel like in that moment, everyone there has got to be like, yep, I believe now. We're like, all doubt is gone. I wonder how Riley is going to take this, you know, after his big talk with the pastor about how he doesn't believe, and he, you know, not just doesn't believe, but actively is like, has negative feelings towards the church. I wonder what impact that's going to have on him. You know, I kind of likened in episode 1 when he's kind of chasing what he thinks is the pastor. I kind of was like, oh, is this like a symbolic thing of like him chasing his faith? Like, is that what this series is going to be about? I'm not sure. Probably not. I might have been just reading into that in the moment. But then there's shots of him being alone in a boat. I wonder what that means. There's lots of stuff we still don't know about what's going on. And this is only a 7-episode limited series. So we don't have a ton of, like, you know, it's not like where you have to watch a whole 22-episode season to see these things play out. Like, we should be getting answers to some of these things fairly quickly. So yeah, I don't know. I've been talking a long time. So hopefully, I just think it's very interesting trying to just delve in and pick apart, as me, someone who is a person of faith. It's very interesting to watch this and kind of pick it apart. I kind of had some of these moments with Haunting of Bly Manor, where you're kind of trying to figure it out and compare it to what I know and what I've experienced. But then this seems to be more of a like a present thing, a more pertinent thing, more upfront type conversation that's happening. Maybe seems to be slightly the point. And I like, again, I mentioned this in the reaction, but I like how it's not taking one side, right? Like it's not straight up mocking faith. It's not being like, hey, this is clearly wrong, haha, like, or you know, sometimes stories will set you within the perspective of the protagonist, and they're clearly against faith, and things happen that support that. Sometimes stories will push narratives of the opposite side, even, where it's like, hey, this is clearly right, like this ain't no Christian movie, this ain't God's Not Dead. Also, Christian movies all suck, by the way. But no, I like how they're presenting both sides of the argument in a way where it's not super evident in the moment whether or not one side is right or wrong. It's something that will start conversations, and I think that's nice. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I gotta say. I've been talking super long. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode down below in the comments. What are your thoughts on any of this, really? Whether it be the story in specific, or, you know, your own personal faith walk or non-faith walk. You know, where are you at in that? Yeah. Is my if you haven't seen Super Far Ahead, what do you think of my bird dog pastor, old pastor, young pastor theory? It's probably so wrong, and I'm gonna look so dumb. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. If you liked my reaction, consider leaving a like on the video. It means a ton to me. Helps my videos get seen more. Subscribe if you enjoyed my reaction a lot and you want to see more. And ring the bell so you're notified when I upload. And then if you are interested in the full-length reaction to this episode, consider supporting me on Patreon. It's linked in the description. I post all my full uncut reactions in watch-along format over there. So you just sync up your own copy of the show and you can watch along with me. There you can also become a super supporter and get featured in every single one of my videos. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.